Good morning. We would like to welcome Rory McIlroy to the FedEx St. Jude Championship Media Center. You're entering the FedEx Cup at number 3 in the standings. 2 wins this season, 6 top 10s. Overall, opening thoughts on your regular season and the start of the playoffs?
Yeah, I think it was probably a slower start to the season than I would have liked. Really didn't feel like I got going until sort of April, May, and then I've played pretty good golf since then. The couple wins, a couple other opportunities to win as well. So yeah, overall, reasonably happy with the way I've played this year, and obviously I've got 3 tournaments coming up to try to turn a pretty good year into a very good year.
You just played 9. Can you give us some thoughts on the golf course?
Yeah, I mean, look, we've been coming back to Southwind for so long that it doesn't really change much from year to year. You sort of know what to expect when you get here. Bermuda, pretty grainy around the greens. Very good green surfaces. Some of the best greens we put on all year. So yeah, it's sort of one of these golf courses where it demands a little more precision than maybe some other golf courses that we play throughout the year. And if you keep your ball in play and on the fairway, you're always going to have a decent chance to make birdies and shoot a good score.
So we'll open it up to questions. Right here, Shed.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I'm taking it by sort of your words that, when you say it was an okay season or whatever. A lot of guys would just like to win one tournament, you won 2. Is it fair to say you just have a different standard and expectation of yourself at this point that to make it a great season?
Yeah, I think not to. I certainly don't want to sit up here and belittle my achievements at all this year and what I've done, but at the same time, yeah, I expect a certain standard from myself, and yeah, I've had, I've won a couple of times. I've had an opportunity to win a few more times than that, and haven't been able to get over the line. So I would have liked to, added a couple more to that win column. But as I said, there's still 3 tournaments left in this PGA Tour season. I think I've actually got 8 or 9 tournaments left this year, but 3 on the PGA Tour. To turn an okay season into a very good one, I feel maybe a little similar to even the 3 years that I've won the FedEx Cup. I 2016 I came in to the playoffs, I think in 36th, and was able to win. But then 19 and 22, I was a little further up and a little closer to the lead. And I think when the bulk of the season has come and gone, and you've got this opportunity of 3 weeks to really, I guess, flip the script a little bit or change the narrative in what that season means, I think that's a motivating factor, and part of the reason that I've probably played well in the playoffs for the last few years.
How would you gauge your Olympic experience?
Amazing.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I played Tokyo with COVID and no one there and everything, so it was a different experience. But we played the practice rounds at the start of the week in France with no spectators, just because they didn't sell tickets for the practice rounds. And then you show up on Thursday and there's 30,000 people at the golf course. It was very cool. So I think to play in that atmosphere and in that environment, yeah, I said it at the end of the tournament. I think the Olympic Games is going to mean more and more to the game of golf as it goes along. Going into 28 in LA, 32 in Brisbane, it's only going to become more important. I mean, you see, like what Novak Djokovic said, winning that Olympic gold was the biggest sporting achievement of his career. I'm pretty sure in 10 or 20 years' time, someone in the world of golf might say that about an Olympic gold medal.
Over here, Bob.
Okay. Hey, Rory.
Hey, Bob.
You've won the FedEx Cup couple of different ways. Do you have a preference for how it is now? I mean, do you like this format? Did you like the old one, or would you like to see parts of either or?
I love this format because if it wasn't this format, then none of us would have a chance against Scotty because he's so far ahead. Yeah. So I really like this format.
Well, in theory, you would have, though, because of the way they rejiggered the points going in.
Yeah, absolutely. But still, you know, he's so far ahead, and you don't expect Scotty to finish outside the top 5 either. So, but the way I think it makes the Tour Championship more exciting from a consumer standpoint. Is it the fairest reflection of who's been the best player of the year? Probably not, but I think at this point we're not in for totally fair. We're in for entertainment and for trying to put on the best product we possibly can. So it's the first year that it was the starting strokes at Tour Championship in 2019, I was able to win that one, and then in 22 again. So I like this format. It sort of feels like it's a bit of a reset after the regular season, and not everyone's not quite on a level playing field, but it feels a little more like that.
And something totally different. You kind of looking back from Quail Hollow on, there's really not much let up in this schedule. The signature events. I know there's one that you didn't play, but still pretty busy. If you have to work on something, how do you do it? Like, is there time even, or do you just realize I've got to kind of just stick with what I have and not mess around too much? I'm sort of looking at a guy like Victor who struggled this year and trying to play his way through it.
So I would say the first 3 months of the year is where you can work on things. Even though we've got some big events, I think it's still, it's not the... I think there's like 3 months where you can work on things. I think there's a 6-month period where you just have to manage what you have. I don't think there's time to really change things. And then I think then there's a 3-month window at the end of the season where you can work on things again. So I think that's the way it's like 3 months where it's like prep and sort of getting yourself ready for the bulk of the season. 6 months where you sort of try to leave it alone and manage what you have. And then 3 months at the end of the year is sort of how I like to look at it. I definitely feel like I've found a couple of things in New Orleans, actually. I specifically remember being on the range in New Orleans and getting a couple of feelings in my swing, and those are the feelings that I've sort of carried with me throughout the last, three months.
Up here to Sean.
You've become an architecture aficionado. What was your reaction to what Andrew Green did at Oak Hill, and what do you think he can do for East Lake?
I really liked what he did at Oak Hill. The only thing I would say about Oak Hill was he maybe made the fairways a little too narrow, or the PGA Championship, whoever set it up. I think what he's done at Congressional is really cool as well. I think I've seen some pictures of East Lake, but I haven't. Obviously haven't been there, but I've heard about some of the things that he's tried to do, and he's got a certain look, those bunker faces and everything. So I thought he's done I guess the 3 courses that I've played that he's done work on, I've really enjoyed them. So I'm looking forward to seeing East Lake.
What was the swing thought at Zurich?
Sort of feeling like I initiate my backswing, feeling like my left shoulder goes down to get the club maybe a little more up, and then just to try to support it with my right arm a little bit on the way back.
And just being at the Olympics, for all Scotty's done this year, where's that 29 at the Golf National rank? It's up there. I thought I was on course for a 29 as well at one point. So, but for him to just keep it going, he's amazing. Even when you think he's not really in the tournament, or he's sort of on the fringes of contention, he always seems to find a way to
hit the shots or hold the putts. And you know, I've described Scotty as relentless, and this is just another example of that. And you know, he's had an incredible couple of years. It was sort of like once he won that first one, it's just like the floodgates have opened, and you know, he's found a next gear and a next level. And it's, you know, as a golf fan, it's really cool to see.
We'll go center back right here with Mitchell.
Kind of on that same note, Rory, Xander and Scotty have both had historic years. If you could choose to have one of those this year, which one would you choose for yourself and why?
Scotty's. I mean, I think winning a Masters, an Olympic gold medal, winning whatever it is, six times, it's pretty hard to top that.
Right here to Shed.
I got to circle back on something that I talked to somebody yesterday about the amount of time that he was spending on transaction committee stuff, and I'm wondering if that in any way impedes your ability to work on things, because I hear it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and there's calls, and there's a lot of different Zoom meetings and so forth. Is that?
No, I haven't been on.
Okay.
I haven't been on a transaction committee call since June, maybe the Memorial.
Okay.
Yeah, the players aren't expected to hop on those Monday, Wednesday, Friday calls. Yeah. So I actually haven't been on one. It's been wonderful. Yeah, it's been great.
All right, last one right here with Sean.
You called yourself the nearly man after Paris. Has that led to any reflection? Do you feel like you need to do anything differently to not have that label that you gave yourself, or just keep giving yourself chances?
Yeah, I just have to finish off tournaments better. And there's been glimpses where I have done it, like Quail Hollow, for example. But obviously, U.S. Open, you know, Olympics. It's just sort of, I feel like this year, and maybe the last couple of years, I've just found a way to hit the wrong shot at the wrong time. And that, you know, it might go into preparation and trying to practice a little more under pressure at home. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, you go through these things in golf, and you go through these little challenges, and you just have to try to figure out a way to get through it. And my challenge right now is that it's really good, but not quite good enough to sort of take home the silverware. So it's just something I'm having to work through.
All right. Thank you for your time, Rory.
Thank you.